Hi guys, and welcome to my official, most anticipated, my most asked about marker review. That's right, we're taking a look at the brand spanking new Ohuhu Alcohol Brush Markers. Get excited. So I'm just gonna get right into it and just open these up. This is the 48 count pack. And from my understanding, Ohuhu will be releasing this 48 count pack first, and then larger count sets, I believe, will follow. I'm not sure what the time period is for that, but let's look at these markers. So right off the bat, we can see that they are different in their shape. They are circular sized, whereas the other ones, their original bullet nib and chisel tip markers are more ovalish. So this is a complete circle, and on the caps, they have these little stoppers, I guess you could say, so that when you place them down, they're not rolling off your desk, because that would be a little annoying. So I'm glad they thought of that. And we've got our Ohuhu art marker name, shiny still, of course. Color caps on either side. And these are all the colors, all 48. So let's just get right into it and test these out. So before I get into coloring anything, I like to go ahead and color swatch all the colors myself, even though they've provided their own, which is super convenient, but it's always good to go ahead and do your own color swatches, because sometimes the printed ones that they supply, they aren't always completely true to the color of the marker. So let's go ahead and do the color swatching. Okay, so color swatching is done. It's nice to see the comparisons between the two. Some of the colors did definitely turn out different from the printed out one that Ohuhu supplies. And one thing I definitely like is just from color swatching alone, I can definitely tell how amazing the ink flow is. The brush, right when it hit the paper, just all this beautiful color came out with each color. None of them were dry, and the brush tip was amazing as far as elasticity, and I'm so excited to go ahead and see how well they blend. So let's move on. So here's my card for testing out a block of blending. I'm also going to test out line weight, just the different types of lines I can sort of get. And I definitely wanted to show the continuous sort of ink flow that you can get out of these. So for blending, I'm going to go ahead and use these colors. I want to go from a blue all the way to a yellow, and let's see how well that works. So I combined all these colors together. I went from this blue hue all the way to this darkish yellow kind of hue, and I think it did really well. I really like the transition. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the line weights that you can get. I'm gonna use, I don't know, let's use a vivid color. Let's try out this vivid reddish purple. And so basically, when you have a brush nib, you can pretty much achieve all sorts of line weights, from really thin to medium, and then really thick. And if you really apply pressure, super thick. And the ink flow is just amazing. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna pick another different color. Let's do orange. And I'm gonna go up thin and down thick. So up, down. So it's definitely really juicy, especially when you apply that pressure. The ink flow is incredible, and I absolutely love it. So now that we got that all done, let's go ahead and color something in. And so I have this that I did the line art for on my computer. So all these lines are digital. I use the program Paint Tool Sci to do all my digital line art. And then I go ahead, I print it out. And this character is my Gaia Online character, one of the past versions that I've done of her. And I always like drawing my Gaia Online character because they have just so many options when it comes to character design. And this was one of them. So I'm gonna start out with Salmon Pink, color YR4. And really quick, let me show you guys the nibs. So here it is close up. We've got our very nice, sharp and defined brush nib, which I definitely want to point out. They are all, every single brush marker is like this. There are no dull tips. They're nice and fine and sharp. And that to me is a big deal when you're trying to get into smaller areas of your image. Let me turn it around. And we have the shiny Ohuhu label and then the chisel tip. And it's just a standard chisel tip, very similar to the old style of Ohuhus. And then the cool thing, like I mentioned before, stacking. All right, now let's get started with coloring. One of my only complaints, and it's not even a complaint really, just that the color selection is limited, but that's expected because it's a 48 count set. But I don't know if they're releasing all the colors at once. So I guess we'll just see what they come out with. I assume they're only going to be releasing the 48 count at first, and then they'll release the other larger count sets later on. And so since I'm dealing with 48 colors, my skin color selection is kind of limited. So I'm going in with the Rose Beige BR3 to sort of get some shading. It's slightly darker than the Salmon Pink that I just used. And then just to blend out any areas, I'm going back with the Salmon Pink and sort of blending out any harsh lines. And so I was worried that the Rose Beige would be a little too dark as far as going from this Salmon Pink to the Rose Beige, but it actually ended up being really good. As far as blending goes, I was able to achieve a really good blend so that the color change is seamless. Or like going from light to dark was seamless. And that's a good thing because I feel like Rose Beige was the only shadow kind of color to go from after Salmon Pink, since the colors are a little limited in the 48 pack. But I think it works for sure. And now I'm going to take the Potato Brown, which is BR2, and really darken any areas that would definitely be even darker. And this is what really makes a picture pop. When you are darkening your darkest parts, then it really makes the overall image come alive, in my opinion. And another quick, cool blending trick that I like to do is when I want to do blush, give me a second, there we go. I go ahead, I take the caps off, and so I have my peach color here, and I have my pinkish color here, and I just kind of touch the tips together. And what I'm trying to do is rub off the pink color onto the peach color. This is the Salmon Pink color. And so now that I've got a little bit of pink on my brush nib, I go ahead and I blend it out for a little bit of a rosy effect on her skin. It's not a lot, but that's not, you know, what I want. I don't want a whole bunch. And then it eventually returns back to its original color, but you can see that I've got a nice rosy tint. For the eyes, I like off-color dramatic eyes, so I'm going with a purple sort of color. I'm really liking this blue and gold combo that I went with her clothing. It's definitely giving me a lot of Jasmine vibes from Aladdin, and that was purely coincidental. Had no intention of doing that. And it's almost making me want to do her hair a brownish color. So I'm really excited about how well the hair is coming out, and I'm really pleased with my color choices. I was thinking about going with a spunky color like purple or pink for her hair, but I decided last minute to stick to a natural brown color. Well, blondish kind of brown, maybe light brown. And I feel like this is where these brush markers really shine, and getting all these different kinds of like line weights that I've got going on here. And it's just so beautiful overall, I feel. And so the way I'm blending here is really simplistic. So the base color that I used was pastel pink, which is R10, and I colored all my petals in, and now I'm going in with the pastel rose R9, and I'm putting down any sort of like shadow or outline even. And then I'm going back with my original color, R10, and I'm just going right over the edges. And the cool thing about these brush markers is that there's so much generous ink that it doesn't really take a whole lot to blend from one color to the next, especially if you're using colors that are in the same color family. It's completely effortless. And I'm basically just using that same blending technique again with a darker color, R4 deep red, in order to really make these flowers pop. And that's that. I'm thoroughly impressed and in love. I feel that they really listen to their fan base when it comes to these markers. The brush nibs are amazing. They brought back the caps being able to post or stack, and they also brought back color names. If I had to name cons, there are not many. These markers are still a single-use marker, so they still don't have refills yet. But who knows what's in store for the future? And the only other con would be limited colors, but that doesn't really feel like a con because it's only a matter of time until they release all their colors with these brush nibs. So that's exciting. And lastly, as of making this review video, I currently do not know the official price of these markers just yet, but once I do, I will pin a comment to let you all know. And that said, when the markers do release, on Wednesday, June 19th at 10 p.m. EST. I do want to mention that for all those watching, I have a 20% off coupon code to share with you all that you can use specifically for your purchase of the Ohuhu brush markers. So check out my description below. It is a coupon code courtesy of Ohuhu themselves. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!